Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your definitely despondent dear. How are you,
What does despondent mean?
Means lack of faith and hopelessness.
Okay.
Because the world is kind of shitty right now.
Got you.
But welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel.
Yeah.
A very special episode.
Yeah, this is very special, very different.
Very new for us. And we always, as always, we want to make sure that we say, if this is your first time listening, welcome. If this is your second time listening, welcome back. And if this is your third or more time listening, you are a family, or as TJ likes to call you,
you a lover.
You a lover.
You my lover.
Sure, why not? Okay. And how are you, my good sir?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Despite sometimes feeling a little despondent these days, I'm good. Overall, I can't complain.
That's dope.
But we're not going to hold y'all much longer because we have a really interesting episode for you guys this week. We are joined by not one, not two, but three guests. And we are very, very grateful to have them. And I'm excited because I get to do something a little different and be...
Well, the whole episode's going to be different.
The whole episode's going to be different. There's no elevated, there's no relationship tip, there's none of that. We're going to get right into it. So first and foremost, we're going to introduce our guests. We have with us the Rebel Rhome of the Hours Truth podcast. Hey, Rhome.
Hey, what's going on? It's the Rebel R-H-O-M-E. Don't forget the H. What's going on?
And we're good. And then I'm gonna go counterclockwise. And then we have Reek, the original black man of the Good Brother Experience podcast. Hey, Reek.
What up with it? What's happening?
And last but certainly not least, we have Cosi of the Run the Tape podcast. How you doing?
Yo, I'm feeling blessed, feeling good, man. It's good to be here. Appreciate you again.
We really appreciate it. Thank y'all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to sit down with us and being flexible in, this new world where everything is virtual. We're going to make it work. So we're going to just go ahead and get right into it. So part of why TJ and I wanted to host these fine gentlemen today is because kind of you've been living under a rock in the last maybe couple of weeks. I don't know which part of the culture we would describe this as, but people that are definitely staples in the culture have been called to the carpet, for lack of a better term.
Event culture.
Event culture. Thank you.
I will go with horny culture, but it's up to y'all. It's y'all show.
They've been called to the carpet for, predatory behavior is the best way I could describe it. I'm going to throw the word alleged on it because, that's what you're supposed to do. And what really came up was the conversation about, consent and rape culture and accountability that men have to hold to other men. And I do want to shout out Tasha from Tasha Talks a Lot.
Yes. Because
that was part of what kind of spurred this conversation between me and TJ, which then led us to inviting Rhome, Reek, and Cosi onto the show today. Because the question about accountability and where do men fall on that spectrum of holding other men accountable. So I'm going to be serving primarily as y'all moderator for today because this is a conversation between four black men. And
those three.
You are also black.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was counting. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Goodness,
that's why I married you.
Yeah, because I'm the teacher.
Now you the brains of the operation. I'm just here.
Definitely not.
Now we're not gonna be disrespectful.
So we got 4 black men here, and they're gonna engage in a conversation about all the things and really just share their takes and their opinions on what's been going on. And we're gonna go from there and see. So y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get to it.
Let's do it. We can go, straight no chaser. So my first question really is, because it seems like it's on a spectrum, is how do you guys define or understand consent? What do you understand consent to be when it comes to sex?
Are we going in a specific order or?
You know,
You can start it off.
Yeah, you can jump right in.
All right, cool. I've always been taught the F.R.I.E.S analogy. It's always kind of worked for me. F.R.I.E.S is it's an acronym for freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, specific. So if you follow those guidelines, you'll be within the guidelines in terms of how you interact with any gender, when in regards to any sexual act, right? So if it's freely given, basically that means that the consent is it's given between both parties. Everyone knows exactly what they're there for. They understand what's going on, and there's nothing inhibiting their decision making. So if you use any type of narcotics, if you use any type of alcohol to impair the judgment of one party, then you've already violated that. Reversible basically means that at any point, and that's the thing that really kind of fucks some people up, at any point, anybody can back out of the situation, no matter how far into the act you've gone. Informed, obviously, you need to know what the plan is. If you guys, whatever you agree to, everything needs to be out on the table. Obviously, enthusiastic is self-explanatory. But really, it's also, I think one of the biggest ones is specific. Just because a partner says yes to one aspect doesn't mean that it's a yes for all aspects throughout the evening. So if a woman, in my case, would say yes to coming over to my flat, that doesn't mean that that's an automatic yes to any act that I have in mind once she gets to said flat, So that's just how I've defined it, for a long time, and it's done me well. It's done me good justice.
Definitely. And funny enough is that I've actually just become aware of the F.R.I.E.S acronym, and if y'all can see, I literally had a screenshot of it from the other day because I was like, this is kind of a good way to be clear on what consent might be. But I want to toss it over to Rhome or Reek. How would you describe consent in your experience and in your opinion?
The Rebel Rhome. Do you want to take this over and I'll go last?
Sure. Consent, I will say, in the recent years, for me, has changed. And I say that because of just awareness and learning about the things that's going on. So for me, personally, now I need verbal consent. Like, there's no way for me to even proceed with trying to touch a woman without me asking her at least 3 or 4 times, like, you sure you want to do this? Like, because if as soon as I get a no, like, we're not even playing this game. Mm-hmm. So, and I agree with Cosi. Definitely when it comes to being impaired or being inhibited, it's definitely a deterrent. I've had women call me gay because I knew they were too intoxicated to really give consent to having sex. Like, mm-hmm. I vividly remember me taking a young woman out. We went out for happy hour, and she act like she could keep up with drinking mm-hmm. tequila like how I drink tequila, and she couldn't, and you could tell. And I took her home at the end of the night. Dropped her off in front of her building. She like, why are you not coming upstairs? I'm like, you're not in no position for me to even come upstairs for me to put myself in that position. Mm-hmm. So called me all types of gays and then apologized to me in the morning. So that's what I believe consent is.
I agree. Because Reek, you could finish it off. Consent to me do look different as well. For me, I mean, I've been with Dani majority of my consenting years, but I used to think that once I got consent once, then it was fair game always. And that's not necessarily the case, right? As I've gotten older, it's that was my thought process. Like I would never. So with Dani, I didn't pursue anything. Like everything that we did, Dani was the initiator. Because my thing was I wanted her to be able to say that it was okay first. And then once I got that consent, then I would feel more comfortable trying things. And I probably wouldn't have, at that time, I probably wouldn't have asked because it was like, we already did it. But looking at it now, I'm like, that could have been a situation that could have been like me taking advantage of her or whatnot. So, the F.R.I.E.S theory is definitely something that I'm going to teach like my nephews and other males. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can dig that. I just want to take this opportunity to say that I've been preaching consent since like the start of my show. Like before it was fashionable to talk about consent, I've been on this vibe saying to procure the kid consensually, but niggas just want to just not listen to me. But in regards to my definition of consent, as the rest of you guys, is definitely changed. But just to narrow it out as like an elevator pitch, it's just when you feel like you're doing the most, probably doing the most. So anything within the parameters of just keeping it smooth and just letting things happen methodically. So like both parties are comfortable with what's happening, then that's what I think consent is. Because if you're trying to manufacture the situation so it can be in your benefit, then that's not consent. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of putting somebody in a space to where they kind of have to choose, or you're taking the choice away from somebody, which is definitely crazy. You know what I mean? So anytime you're within the realm or you're tiptoeing around like just doing the most, you just got to fall back. Mm-hmm. Right. And women be horny out here, so there's no reason to do the most.
So, I know Rhome kind of touched on it when he gave his definition, but Reek, Cosi, TJ, do you guys look for like a verbal consent these days?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So it depends on what, like, yes, but the verbal consent comes in different stages. When it's horny time, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's not act like everybody's coming through with a suit and a tuxedo. Like, pardon me, madam, man, please touch some of that. Like, that's not how it's going down. So sometimes, like with me, I'm very touchy. Mm-hmm. So always tell all the women, because I'm a sex symbol, so it's a lot of them. All the women, like, yo, are you cool with me touching you? I'm very touchy. So if you're not comfortable with me touching on you like that, I won't. I mean, the majority of them say yes, because once again, duh. But for those that aren't, I mean, it's all good. I just fall back. Sometimes, I mean, one thing leads to another, and it's like, yo, like, it's how you feeling? Like, if everything's smooth, I always say to women, like, I don't want to put you in a place where I make you feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So just as long as I understand that I'm horny, and you understand that I'm horny, and you're okay with horny behavior about to ensue, then that's when I keep going. But I don't just like do craziness like pulling up on you, grabbing the fatty and kissing you and be like, oh, you wasn't with that? Oh, I'm so sorry. I read the room and I just thought that you might like that. Like, that's not my get down. I mean, that's what has niggas in the fucking jailhouse now.
Yeah,
agreed.
That is the thing.
I'm married and I'm still asking for consent. And that's not even just to, I mean, right? Because some people believe that if you're married, you can take it whenever. Like, it's yours. We're married. Like, and that's not necessarily the case at all.
No, that's true.
So, yeah, I still believe that, verbal consent is extremely important. I understand where Reek is coming from in terms of there not always being some type of verbal contract. It really depends on the relationship that you have with the person. Like, for example, if you are married, you may allude to it. You may not come out and ask. You may joke. You may kind of dance around a little bit. And obviously the reception that you get kind of tells you if it's go time or not. So it's not always going to have that formal structure, but in some way, shape, or form, there's some type of notice given, like, I would like to sleep with you, or, are you in the mood, or may I touch you, or something like that. Mm-hmm. As long as that's continuously happening, I'm cool. Then then it's okay. And then I'm also a huge advocate of empowering women to also express their sexuality in any relationship that I'm in. So I never want to feel like I'm the only person initiating it, because a little bit of a complex of mine that maybe we'll get into later. But I like the woman that I'm dating to feel as though, if it's something that you want as well, feel free. Don't because this is a partnership.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to follow up and piggyback, like, I'm not bringing out a contract and saying that is it okay? Can you sign here on the dotted line? But yeah, you can always give somebody a little bit of body language, or like just verbally, like, hey, like, is it okay for me to touch you? Like, you could joke about it. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a serious tonality about it. Mm-hmm. So I just think that is very important, because women have taught me. Like, I've had to learn, because when I think about it, some of our children's stories and some of our children's books kind of teach predatory behavior. Like, I was really thinking about Beauty and the Beast the other day. Like, he kidnapped her and then they got married. Mm-hmm. Like, nah, bro. Like, that's not shit we should be learning as children.
Yeah. So Disney strikes again, son.
Like, it's just weird, like, some of the things that we kind of learn as children, and you get older and you gain that awareness and you have that understanding.
But with something like that, it's a story, so are we putting our own views onto it? Like, kind of like if you see, like, so on Twitter, it was a woman stripping with her child. And I feel like people sexualized it because she had a stripper outfit. But if she didn't have a stripper outfit on, would people still be like, you're teaching your child, like, stripping?
They sexualized it because she was on a pole. They sexualized it because of the act in which she was doing. Obviously, when you think of pole dancers, you automatically think sensuality. You don't think exercise.
Got you.
You automatically think some type of sexual entertainment, burlesque, anything that is considered to be risque or taboo, and something that is particularly too soon for you to be exposing your child to. As parents,
I do agree with that.
As parents, for the both of us, I mean, obviously, it's our prerogative what we decide to, expose our children to, as long as it's done so in a way that is educational, right? As long as it's done so in a way where it's beneficial and it's negligent of, or it could compromise their morals in any way, shape, or form. Like, we have to put them in a position to where, like, they can make the best decision for themselves. But clearly, you can see from the video that, granted to maybe somebody who's looking at it from a very skewed vantage point.
Yeah.
You teaching your baby how to work the pole.
That little girl was so happy.
Right. And it's like, obviously, she could see it as a way of bonding with her mother as well.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, let's look at it. Let's look at it from all angles versus your angle, because
go ahead, my fault.
So just because, like, your only interaction with the pole is through sexual activity doesn't mean that that's his only use. So
no, definitely. See, the reason why I said her outfit is because she had on, like, a stripper's outfit. So to me, outside looking in, it looks like here's a stripper. She has her daughter and she still got to practice. So let me throw the daughter on there. But from my other view, I'm like, that little girl had a fucking ball. And as a parent, sometimes that's all that matters for us, right? At least for me, I want my daughter to have the best time. So I can see that situation and not look at it sexually. So.
Okay. Well.
I'm just not in the business of telling people how to parent their children. So I'm just going to sit this one out.
Fair enough.
I would like to know Dani's thoughts on that, though, as far as, like, how do you view that? Because yes, in a perfect world, we would all view the different aspects and different sides of that situation. But as a woman, how would you view that? Right? Because it's there's a big thing with women owning their sexuality, and I think it's great. Like, you should own your sexuality, but with that comes objectification. So, like, we have to be honest about the positions that we put ourselves in to be objectified, right? So, like the world's not perfect.
It's not, and I think that you have to be. I mean, when you post something to the social media, to the internet for folks to see, then you invite everyone's opinion. Exactly. However, if you are comfortable and you're aware that those negative opinions are going to be a part of the general conversation about what you posted, and you're comfortable with that, or it doesn't impact you, then so be it. I saw the video, and I do believe that, like, I think primarily her outfit choice is what really kind of sent it over the edge. Because there's already people who are, like Cosi said, who are going to who are going to connect it with sexual behavior or stripping because of the fact that there was a pole in use. But if she had on biker shorts and a sports bra and not like a very small, tiny bikini on, there might have been a greater argument for, well, she's doing it for cardio, or she's doing it just to, work out. And I guess my thinking is that if she's safe and that her child, she's doing it because, I mean, when it boils down to, it was a small child, kids like swinging around shit, being, like, it feels like they're flying through the air, right? Right. And what little kid doesn't like that feeling? And so it's really just her decision as a parent about what she's doing. Now, I think really the only thing is about how she's reacting or responding to the negative attention that is brought upon herself. Because that's really the part that she has to deal with, is the opinions of everyone else, because she posted that on the internet. And she may care or she may not give a shit. She might be like, my kid is having fun, is safe, is loved, is well taken care of. So the fact that I'm playing around on my pole at home for practice for work because I am an exotic dancer, or because I use it I teach, aerobics class, like pole aerobics class. Right. That's my business. That's my business, and my child is taken care of, and that's it. And they're having a good time. So I think it falls back onto her and how she's handling and coping with that attention, be it negative and positive. Because people are going to argue in your comments and your mentions, long after you've moved on from it. So I think that ultimately falls on her. I personally can see why people would come at her and why it would be sexualized, but I personally don't have a dog in that fight, and I'm not gonna like argue down and be like, that's not appropriate or whatever, because there are just way worse things that you could be doing in front of and with your child besides, a couple of 360s around a pole. And it might be very, forward thinking of me or whatever, but ultimately it's not my child. And if that child is loved and well taken care of and safe, then so be it. Okay. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit and kind of bring us back around. So one thing, and a conversation that TJ and I had on last week's episode, and we kind of had it off the air too, was about this whole the concept of sexual coercion, right? Because you have people making the argument that, well, if a person consented to, they didn't say no, then that means let me back up. If they didn't say no, then that means that they consented, right? But then there's this aspect of sexual coercion. I'm going to read the definition I found. And it says, sexual coercion is unwanted sexual activity that happens when you are pressured, tricked, threatened, or forced in a non-physical way. It might make you think that you owe sex to someone. It might be from someone who has power over you, like a teacher, a landlord, or a boss. No person is ever required to have sex with someone else. So a quote, and I want to make sure I give credit to, so there's a person online, like at Vagistine, And a quote that I found on her page was, if you have to finesse, it's not consent, right? So I feel like that kind of is like a nicer, a flowery way to kind of talk about this sexual coercion thing. So what do you guys think about, and what's your take on the concept of like, if you got a finesse, then it isn't consent? Because I feel like that's where that shades of gray start to come in.
Yeah, and you know what? For someone that's been single for more years than I haven't been single, no, for real, because I mean, I've had girlfriends and shit, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, for the majority of my life, I've just been doing my thing. And one thing that I don't think is really discussed is like the trial and error portion that comes with talking to women. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not familiar with everybody's background, but if you come from a certain place with a certain type of person, I mean, like actually liking women is never the goal. Getting pussy is, right? So I'll even take it a step further. When you're doing your thing and you're actually like shorty, like, oh, look at this lover boy ass nigga falling in love all the time. But you'll be applauded if you get the pussy from shorty. You know what I'm saying? So with maturation, then that's when your mindset changes. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there was a point in time to where it's like, I'm not no rapist. I'm not gonna physically abuse her. Yeah, she said no. Let me try to mastermind a way for her to say yes and be with it, right? You don't think that's wrong because like, I know for a fact I'm not going to physically take anything from her. I know for a fact I'm not going to force her to do anything. Yeah, she's saying no. Let me just wait it out and let me just start to try to blueprint a way for me to get her into the mood, which should never be the case. If she says no, she says no. But you don't realize that until you get older and pussy isn't so much of a concern anymore because you're no longer a young man trying to figure it out. And the majority of the cases that it's looking like is people who are younger. This was never in the lexicon and conversation as far as like black people or young people is concerned. And the people who are enlightened are starting to like look down at the people who weren't enlightened when they were enlightened, which to a degree is unfair because normalizing is just that. It's normalizing. So if you think you're doing nothing wrong and your peers are telling you you're not doing nothing wrong and TV's telling you you're not doing nothing wrong, it doesn't snap to you that something's wrong until this happens. Because I know for a fact there was niggas on the timeline watching the accused person that was just wilding for respect. And they're looking like, I don't see nothing wrong with any of this. This looks like a random Thursday night. You know what I mean? And until someone says it out loud, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to let Rhome, I'm going to let Cosi cook. I just want to just put things into perspective as far as coercion is concerned. I was talking to one of my mans, right? We were on the phone. We was talking about said situation. And he was like, yo, not for nothing. Like, some of that shit was crazy. A lot of that shit was crazy. But a lot of that shit wasn't. He was like, what you mean? I was like, yo, that just looked like women that was getting their feelings hurt. Or women that looked like they was in fucked up positions and they just reacted to it terribly. I didn't see no coercion and none of that. I was like, all right. So he read I sent him the definition of coercion, right? And then I was like, all right, so check this out. Say for instance, I'm at a bar. I meet shorty. It's all love. We vibing, whatever. We had drinks. She agrees come to the spot. We at the spot. We have more drinks. We're laughing, chilling, whatever. Now it's adult time, and she doesn't feel comfortable. And I fall back like, all right, so let me check this out. Like, I'm not into wasting time. So if you don't give me no ass, you got to find your own ride home. And it's 3 a.m. That's coercion.
OD.
But
OD coercion.
But unless you know the word coercion, you just think you just keeping it G with bitches. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm glad that podcast episodes coming out like this, so we can verbalize it, so we can show niggas that you're bugging.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, even before I thought of the word coercion, that's just nasty behavior, right? Like
wicked behavior.
Like I come from a place where like you just don't do that. Like you take your L's like a man. Like yeah, you might never want to see shorty again. You might block her on all your social medias. Like you might do all that, but I'm gonna make sure she got home safe, especially if I brought her to the bar and all that. Like that's just nasty behavior. Like so, like some of that stuff he was doing, like I couldn't really believe it because it's like you mad shorty don't want to give you no cheeks, so you leave on the corner of Myrtle? Like,
I don't want to cut into your
Yo.
program, Danny and TJ. Cozy, just give me 1 second. I want to ask Rhome
Yo,
something.
all right.
This one, just and then you can cook. I'll stay quiet. Y'all say about Cozy. Yeah, Rhome, you saying that you couldn't believe it, but I believe all of us that's in this Zoom meeting right now knows the quote unquote asshole, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't attribute that to predatory behavior. We just contribute that to asshole behavior. Like, yo, I'm not going to front, and this is how such and such gives it up with bitches. Like, if they don't give it up, he just kicks them out. And that be it. And sometimes you laugh, and sometimes like, yo, he's wild, but you don't really think that this is like coercive behavior until this vocabulary is introduced. And now I'm finished. My fault.
No, I agree. There's people, I'm from the hood. I'm from a large hood. So there's people that I know that are like that. Those ain't my homies. Not people that I rock with. I mean, I see you, I say what up, and keep it moving. But that kind of behavior around me really has never been tolerated. Like, for real, for real.
That's something that we're going to talk about a little bit more later on, because that comes back to where you all come in on, like, calling a spade and calling it out for what it's worth. But I want to give Cosi a chance to kind of respond to this whole sexual coercion topic.
Yeah, I feel like the behavior that Rhome and Reek are talking about is generational behavior, is learned behavior.
Yep.
So our OGs, so we may say it's not tolerated, but our OGs is really the people that we look to, emulated. We saw that. I'm not saying like anybody's dad specifically or whatever, but we saw how uncles move. We saw how big bros move, our big cousins, that cool guy in high school, that star quarterback, that star basketball player that we aspire to be, or whatever. So it was like there are a lot of examples of that person living like this quote unquote ideal existence in whatever phase of life that we're in. And we look at that behavior and we think that that's the appropriate. And then we're also reimagining ourselves within the stories of hood tales, right? People that we grow around, corner talk. I grew up in the hood. I've grown up in hoods all my life. So I have a lot of stories as reference to niggas, and I'm listening to these stories, and these stories, at no point, my OGs, none of them are checking one another. None of them are holding one another accountable. They're applauding. Ha ha, yo, you kicked that bitch out your car? My nigga, you a wild nigga, boy. Nah, you a trash nigga, boy. Like, it's different type of language that needs to be used, and it hasn't been used for a while, right? Mm-hmm. So I've talked to a lot of women, right? I've talked to a lot of women about this topic, and especially in New York culture. I didn't grow up in New York all my life, but talking to women who grew up in New York culture, skirt raising, dubs in the parties, how raunchy things got. It was borderline sex without obviously insertion. Like, where did they learn that from? You know what I'm saying? Like, where did they get those concepts from that this is appropriate behavior, or the concept that this isn't inappropriate behavior as well, right? Mm-hmm. Or how are they looking at this attention as being something that's welcome versus something that's really objectification, as you guys have said before. So when we talk about coercion, if you have to trick, we talked about this once again, like in that acronym, under the influence of drugs or alcohol, but I think it can be extended beyond that. Also under the influence of misinformation or misguidance as well too. And a lot of men, I can't even hold you, a lot of my G's, they use misinformation all the time. Mm-hmm. Misinformation all the time, or misleading somebody. There's a woman that they know that they only want to smash, but they give their appearance as if they could be something more. She's under the influence of misinformation. Mm-hmm. So had you told her, and women are very honest and transparent about this, leave me my choice, and they say that for a reason. Give me the choice to make whether I want to continue with you knowing that you got a shorty, or knowing that you only want to smash, or whether you really want to take this somewhere. Because once you lie to me and you give me false pretenses, I'm assuming that what you're saying is what you're saying, but you're G'ing it. So at that point, you're basically, as Reek said, you're lying to gain access to her sexually. And at that point, that is to be considered coercion. Because if you were to really tell her what it was, she would have said no. She would have said no, she wasn't with it, or she would have said yes, that she was. But the fact of the matter is that we'll never know because you was never upfront about it. So,
no, I agree with that, and I think too, like one thing is, and to just kind of bring up the point that it is, when we talk about like it being generational and what people have grown up around seeing. I talked to like my older sister, her friends, and I don't know what popped into my head too was I'm thinking about like surviving R. Kelly, right? Because he was like trolling malls and high schools for girls, right? But then we see it all the time of like in media and in movies and television, we've all seen it growing up where like the girl was in high school and her boyfriend was in college and it was the older guy who would come pick her up in the car. And that was seen as like a thing of like, oh.
There used to be girls in high school who wouldn't talk to you because they only talk to older men. Yeah.
And so, it lends itself to that whole idea of this, it's not called, it's predatory, but it wasn't called that because it was deemed cool, or like, and this used to always be, well, girls mature faster than boys, so girls need an older boyfriend because that matches their energy as far as maturity. But we know it's bullshit and we know what it is now, but I think it is really important to kind of talk about that because it's the conversations that have to happen in order to kind of shift the narrative. Go ahead, Cosi.
It's also about power because that car is power.
Mm-hmm.
That chain, that rollie, that roll of money, that water cash, that's power. So at that point, the only reason that she's really sleeping with him, she could like him, she could not, but really at the surface level, she is attracted to the power that he exudes or the perceived power that he's showing off. So a lot of the times, you don't even have to be yourself, right? Like your objects, what you have in your life, is a form of coercion to the wrong person. It can also be some level of coercion as well, and that's why you get a lot of guys who are mad cool because their shit speaks for them. And to those who are unassuming, they're attracted to it automatically. And when we see that behavior, as you said, like in high school and older guys coming back, like that whole, like, I need an older man for what? Like, generally speaking, they're just better at the coercion than your classmate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not going to be as overt because the power and because the things, it kind of blinds you to the behavioral structure of your relationship. You know what I'm saying? He's still feeding you bullshit the same way your next door desk neighbor is too. But he's also masking it with those objects and those things and that perceived power. So yeah, man, this is just definitely some generational trauma. Definitely some relearning and some unlearning that needs to take place.
But with that being said, I got a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you're saying as far as, the things that a guy has, but is it truly coercion if the girl is pursuing you solely because of these things and like she knows she's in it for a bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't really have the bag like she thinks, is that coercion or that's just her fault for not trying to?
How old is she? Like what's the age difference?
I'm talking about whatever's the okay age for women.
Two adults.
Whatever. Yeah, like two consenting adults, right? Like because I feel like we can't say it's coercion, but then be pro-female to sex work, right? Like pro-sex work.
But I think those are two different things.
Those are two different things.
And it's two different type of topics.
Oh, that's totally true, but it blurs that line, right? Because
no, it doesn't.
Here's what
Hear him out.
Let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say, right? Like, Reek, you pull up at a spot, brand new range, 4.6, 2 chains on. It could be your man's, right? but you pull up,
Right.
shorty is on you because you look like a bag. Y'all get to the spot, y'all do what y'all do. Later on, she find out you don't really have the bag. All that was your man shit. Is that coercion?
Is Reek rocking it
No.
because he's trying to get it, or is he rocking it because my man is fly and we gonna be fly together, so we rocking it?
He's rocking it because he rocking it. He went to the club. You want to look good when
Either
you
way, it's not coercion.
good when you come up.
Bro, it was so look at that. Look at the acronym, bro. It was freely given. She could have said no at any point. She understands the full story. She may not understand. Did she take the time to also ask, is this car yours? Is these chains yours? Of course she didn't. She just perceived what she saw and then she moved based on that. She was probably enthusiastic to do so, and she was very specific about letting him smash. It checks all the boxes. So it's not coercion because she pursued him in that situation.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that sometimes the lines are blurred. It's not as simple as black and white to where it's like, all right, some women that think, oh, if I give this actor some sex, he might put me in a movie. Or if I give this producer a beat, he might, put me on. Like, you know what I mean?
But it's different if they're doing it and that's their goal, but the man is not pursuing it that way. Like, it's a difference if Reek pulled up with all that stuff and he was doing it because he knows that I'm gonna be able to sleep with somebody because they see it. That's the coercion.
Pete, right? Like it's the pursuit of power versus the abuse of power. Mm. If I'm a man and I'm abusing my power to get what I want, that's coercion. If you are pursuing me, if you are pursuing my power to get what you want, then you're doing so under your own volition. So that's why there's a stark difference between a man who is in a position of power pursuing a woman because she does not have the power that he has, and him using that to get what he wants out of her, versus a woman saying, aha, I see a guy who has perceived power. Let me try to... It's still a finesse, don't get me wrong. But when we talk about coercion, sexual coercion, it's a little bit different. That's why it's two different type of scenarios. I mean, what you're making sense, but it just doesn't overlap directly in this conversation.
Yeah, because there's a difference between coercive tactics and being an opportunist. Now, I know what I got on. So if I'm pulling up, we get bottle service, I got chains on, I got designer on, and then a woman perceives me to be a certain way, and then consensually gives me something because she thinks that she'll benefit from me, then that's one thing. But if I'm using what I got going on to then reel you in, and then you get to the crib, I'm like, yo, not for nothing, the only bitches that stay in my crib are the bitches that fuck me, that's something totally different.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. But I'm saying...
but you said that's where the line is blurred. That's where the line is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that was a great examples to Rhome's point or to his topic. But it actually brings me to like another point too, because you guys are already kind of touching on it, which is this idea of like gatekeepers, right? So, if we're circling back to the whole reason why we're even coming to the table right now, you have these examples of men being gatekeepers to these like professional advancements, right? And using sex or sexual favors as the path to gain access. That is that falling under that coercion. And in your experiences, because some of us more than others are like we're embedded in event culture, or sometimes we're adjacent to it, we cross paths with it. How often do you guys see that happening, or have you ever heard of it? Because it's something that's kind of like common. Again, it's something that we've seen this kind of trope throughout media and film and television, but it's art imitates life. So we've seen that happen with these men serving as gatekeepers. Is basically like, if you don't fuck, then you're not getting to the next level. I mean, if you want to take it from the top, you can look at Harvey Weinstein, you can look at Bill Cosby. So really, like, what's your take on that? Because that it goes back to sexual coercion, it goes back to that power dynamic. And kind of like where does it, and maybe then where does it start, and then where does it, and does it get blurred with like people who might be perceived as opportunists, when maybe they've just been coerced.
Have any of you guys ever seen the movie 54?
Wait, which one?
54.
Michael Myers, 54, centered around Studio 54, the old club in Manhattan.
No, I haven't seen it.
All right, so 54 is basically like a semi-documentary, or mockumentary, I should say, about what used to go down in Studio 54, right? Like the beloved club that was litty during the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's a scene that always stuck with me, and I always told myself, I can't give it up like that, son. That's just vicious. Mike Myers was essentially like the head of Studio 54, right? Austin Powers, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's doing his one thing, and there's a dude in there, and he's trying to do his thing. He's trying to become a bartender in there because all the other bartenders is like, enough for nothing. We get like $5,000 a night working in here. You'd be a fool not to fucking work here. So he pulls up. He has an interview. He's like, I'm trying to work here. I think I can be great to your staff. Mike Myers looks at him up and down. I'm like, all right. You can close the door behind you? He's like, yeah, sure. So what's going on? He's like, I'm gay, and if you want to work here, I got to suck your dick. And I was like, whoa, that shit is kind of hard body, my nigga. But that usually is what's happening. I saw a story on the timeline of shorty that was working for a Global Grind or whatever have you, and then another person that's been accused. She was on internship time trying to do her thing, brought forth some ideas, but someone just came through with the wild, rapey vibes. So, not for nothing, she was like, I'm trying to stay away from you, but I did give you some time, kind of get some internship time. Can you sign off with some papers? And he's like, yeah, I can sign off some papers. I can send you a letter of recommendation and all that. You got to get that pussy up, though. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is going on out here, John? So, all these gatekeeper niggas that be trying to hold horny behavior over your head in order so you can, like, do what they say so they can get what they want from you so they can do a favor for you. All that shit is just nasty behavior, son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't agree with it at all. If you have to do that to get women or to get what you want, I just feel like that's trash and you need to be punished. But it goes back that this has been happening for years. Like this was the norm. It wasn't until like more recently with like social media and people standing up for themselves that people are like flashing the light on these actual situations. But this has happened for years. I remember my mother told me a story about her job when she was first starting out, and she was a security guard, and one of like the black people was like on predator time. So he would like ask the young women to come to his office and, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Luckily, she wasn't ever victimized with that because my other aunt who passed away was an officer and she found out. So she came up and like pressed him and he left my mother alone. But that was happening in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And we're still talking about the same thing happening now in 2020. So
yeah, my mom used to work at the ticket booth at the Apollo, and she said that the manager, this was the 70s, and she was like the manager there, hired her because he thought she was pretty, but then was trying to like press her all the time whenever he got her by herself, or if she wanted to continue to work there. So eventually she was like, man, fuck this shit, I don't need it, and she quit. But we also know that that's not the luxury that everybody gets to have.
You were.
When it comes to that, and it's just like when you're trying to advance your professional career, and especially particularly in these areas of like entertainment, a lot of it has to do with who it has to do with getting kind of like the nod or the stamp of approval from certain people, and then you find that people are leveraging that in order to get access to people sexually. And I feel like it speaks also a lot to like what is your why do you even have to do that in order to like get pussy, basically? Like, why can't you get it on your own merit of being like a likable person who somebody might be mildly attracted to, and you can kind of just vibe and then fuck? But I guess that would be the $1 million question anyway.
I would say that a lot of men believe that the only way to get the women that they want is to give off that type of energy, right? Because sometimes being a nice guy and just being mild-mannered, being reputable, and just being a great part of your community, sometimes that's not enough. Like for the woman that you want, particularly, you see it on the timeline all the time. There was one in particular tweet where there was a young lady who had got some work done on her body. She was beautiful. There was a guy that shot his shot in the comments, and of course, you gonna get shot down just as public. But her response was very interesting. She was like, "I don't fuck with regular niggas. You see me?" So a lot of the times, the baddies or who we perceive to be the baddies, genuinely they flock to these power types because they feel, as kind of going back to what we talked about before in terms of fucking your way up, right? Whether it be the clout ladder or the popularity totem pole. So a lot of the time it's a ping pong effect, because sometimes men believe that the energy that they give off and the vibes that they give off is something that's desired to a specific type of women that they pursue. The problem is that once it's successful for a few women, they apply that concept unilaterally across all women. Then you meet the wrong one, the wrong couple, and then now you have that domino effect. So, but I also believe that this problem has gone back. I mean, we're talking decades. Like we've talked about the 70s, 50s, 60s, right? Like even when you look at periodical shows like Mad Men, going back to the ad agency area of the 40s and 30s, like this all has to do with just the exertion of power from the male body. And that's been age old since the beginning of time. We've always exerted dominance over our women counterparts, and we've used our positions of power to extract what we want, whether it was consensual or not. And if it wasn't consensual, then we will find some level of leverage, whether it be the promise of success, advancement, material wealth, or just being able to provide the lifestyle that she wants. And they acquiesce because that's what they're interested in anyway. But the only reason that situation came up in the first place was because he used it as a bargaining chip rather than approaching her and saying, like, I'm interested in you. That's a problem.
Yeah, I definitely think we all can agree that that's nasty behavior for, people to abuse their power and, not letting someone in a certain industry or hindering them from their growth just because they're in a higher position. I think it's more important to further the conversation to just get some understanding of how that became about, right? Like,
what, like the rape culture, or
like just how people decided, like how women decided to go along with the culture, right? Like, I get it. Yeah, men have been in position of power for a long time, and it's terrible. But I believe sometimes there are scenarios where women will just come in with that thought, right? Like let me figure out a way to use my sexuality to advance, which is a terrible thing. Like, where does it begin? Like, where did it begin? Like, that's the thing more importantly in trying to figure out how to stop it.
So I think that's a great question. I believe that if you apply that logic to us as a people, yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
You can also say that someone could look at the Black and African American race and say, why do we go along with subjugation? Why do we go along with subjugation? Because we had the power. There was a way. Like, sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes in order to survive, you have to bide your time in uncomfortable, scrupulous situations that can decimate your character. It can completely, you know, crush the idea of your sense of self. But in order to come out on the other side of that, right? Like if you're a working mother, 4 kids, your father worked, you're left out. You got this one job, and this guy is on your ass. And he's constantly threatening you. He's constantly making advances at you. Let's say you reject him the first time. Then he starts giving these like particular shifts away. Let's say you're a waitress. He starts giving primetime shifts to other women who he is sleeping with. You got 4 mouths to feed. You have no college education, right? Let's just hypothetical. You have, and there's a woman out there that's living this. So it's really not hypothetical.
Right.
You have no college education, and this person is using your desperation, and he's combining it with his power to extract what it is that you want. Can I fault that woman for that? No, I can't.
No, nah.
Well,
and I'm not.
You should never fault.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying to continue to further the conversation like that, right?
No,
like the same way Cosi just said that. Let's continue to further it that way, to have those conversations about why women choose to abide by these rules.
But the accountability doesn't fall on the women to choose to. It falls squarely on us. Like, let's not even factor them into acquiescing. Let's look at our behavior and why we dominate in that way. So that's like, the women have, to me, honestly, I wouldn't even incorporate the women into the conversation because the power structure starts from our angle, Rhome. We have it. The better question is, why are we manipulating them in that way?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, but outside of just gatekeeper conversation, I think it's important for everyone as people, as a whole, to have accountability, right? Like we talked about earlier about the things that we learned when we were growing up and the respective hoods that we're from. Like, it's important to have those conversations with women. It's important for women to have those conversations with men. And it's even more important for men to have those conversations with each other, because sometimes you just don't know.
The conversation definitely needs to happen, but I wouldn't want to figure out how does a woman put herself in that situation, or how does a woman get in that situation. I feel like it's kind of like, for white people, it shouldn't be a black person's job to teach them why they can't use the N-word or anything like that. They need to figure out that stuff. So I wouldn't say to them.
Yeah, but that's a false narrative, TJ. Like, how can Dani understand something that makes you feel a type of way without you telling her that?
I think what TJ is trying to say is like, and it kind of brings us to the topic of like accountability, right? Because whose job is it? Is it my responsibility as a woman to teach you to, not you, but like to teach men? Is it women's responsibility to teach men to not be predatory or rapist or sexually aggressive or sexual assault, commit sexual assault? It shouldn't be my responsibility because I am the victim in this, right? Women are often the victim in this situation, since we're coming at it from this aspect. And to TJ's point, it's kind of like the same way. Like, is it a black person's job to teach white people to not be racist or to be anti-racist? It's not, because we are the victim in this situation. So why is the oppressed having to teach the oppressor how to treat them? It needs to be, and we also think about how it might be received, right? Because the conversation that I also hope that you guys can have right now is, what does it look like is it going to be as effective if the person who is on the receiving end of this treatment, of this, predatory behavior, is it going to be effective if I'm telling you, stop it, or this is wrong, or this is a criminal, or this is whatever? Is it going to be as effective and impactful as if coming from me, or is it going to be more effective coming from him? Because you're going to tell me, well, you're only saying that because you're a woman. You're only saying that because somebody hurt you, somebody got you, you got left hung out to dry and you in your feelings, versus a man saying like my guy, like you're fucked up and you're fucking up and I'm not here for it. So I think that that's kind of like a point that needs to be made, or a question that needs to be answered about who is going to do a more effective job of communicating that, and who is going to, and whose responsibility is to do that. It's like, should it be my job?
Okay, so Dani, here I am, right? And in respect to the conversation, yes, we're talking about something on a broad, very broad scale, right? Like, obviously, we all know these things are wrong. So my thing is, me personally, I've learned to be more, to pay more attention to the things that I say and how I react with women because of what women have taught me. So I really think it's solely based on the person, because it doesn't matter who, like, if one white person goes to a Klan member and tell a Klan member they should not be more racist, they don't care. They just want to be racist. Like, I think it's all about the person and whether they want to comprehend whether they want to change their behavior or not. Some people don't want to change their behavior. Some people can't look outside of themselves to see the spectrum of it all.
They may not be able to, but then my question becomes, what action? So sometimes people aren't going to change, right?
Right.
So when you're encountering somebody who you've called them to the carpet, you've expressed your discomfort, distaste, disgust, whatever, with their behaviors and their actions and their antics, and they're not here for changing, then what does Rhome do? Rhome removes Rhome from the situation, or he cuts them out or something like that. So it's almost like, as a collective, do we need to cut these people out?
I agree. We do. We do need to cut these out. Like, I grew up with people that had children early, and once they got to the point where they decided not to take care of their children anymore, I'm not hanging with you no more. I done told you this mad times, like, yo, that shit is not cool. Like, being a deadbeat dad, like, that shit's not cool. So
Right.
it's just, for me, just what I feel like has worked for me is having the conversation. I've had a conversation with a young lady where she, kind of explained to me, like, rape culture in deep as far as when it comes to catcalling. And we had, like, a real deep conversation about how she would like to be approached. And, like, without you speaking anything about her physically, like anything, like commenting on what she's wearing, like, maybe even if you say it's a beautiful dress, like, that's not okay to her. She feels like that's rape culture.
That brings up a good transition too. So I looked up what rape culture is, right? And it's defined as a society or environment whose prevailing social attitudes have the effect of normalizing or trivializing sexual assault and abuse, right? So my question was about kind of like, how do you define it? But I guess my question then becomes, how have you all seen or experienced, like, rape culture in your, let's say your adult lives, your young adult to adult lives, right? Have you seen it? How have you seen it be normalized? How have you seen it be trivialized? And, like, what do you think needs to happen in order to combat that?
I mean, I'll go, since I kind of brought it up, but the catcalling, like, we live in New York City, like, that's a huge thing. Like, yo, shorty, fat ass, yo, blue pants, yo, tight skirt, like, yeah, like, that shit has been normalized. And after having the conversation that I had with the young lady, like, I realized, like, that shit is terrible. Like, I don't never want to make nobody feel like that. Like, I never been traumatizing. Like, yo, like, if a chick don't respond, just wild out on her, be like, oh, you bum ass bitch anyway. Like, that never been my steez, but I've seen it done, and it's definitely normalized here in New York City.
So if you've seen it done now, would you say something? Would you be like, chill?
Yeah, I have.
Now, is that to anybody or just your people? Because that's a difference too.
To be honest, it's just with my people, because
that's fair.
Because some women like it.
I'll say this.
Yeah,
go ahead, Cosi.
I think that's a great point that Rhome made. Some women like it, and we also have to look and see that. Look, you have obviously women see men as misogynistic, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And women who perpetuate misogynistic behavior aren't spokespeople, aren't to be regarded as the spokespeople for women. They're truly agents that also perpetuate that misogyny as well. It could be out of convenience. It could be out of ignorance. So what we as men have to do is start separating the reference points of how we look at women, right? Like, of course, all women deserve respect, but is this really the person right here that I should be bouncing my cultural standards off of? Like, is this the person right now that's really exuding to me, basically, like, this is how you need to be moving with the woman? But look how like take a look at the woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, take a look at how she's moving and what she allows, right? Some women do allow that. But we have to see them as strictly individuals, not the masses. Once you start to blanket them, then that's the point where you start like making, these mistakes. In terms of accountability, like there was a young man across the street from my house, and it was this girl, and he would always like berate her, like verbally. He would do like all of these really, really, just crazy things to her. And, one day, there was a twofold. One, I got tired of him yelling outside of my crib, one. But two, the idea that I'm watching this and that, damn, like I should do something. So I said, yo, bro, like, you really don't got to talk to her like that. You see that she's a wreck. She's crying her eyes out. Like, why are you continuing this tirade when you know that you're doing so from a position of power? She's cowering in front of you on the steps, bro. Like, what, like, is your indicators not going off that, like, at this point, you're being abusive? He's like, yo, what business is it of yours, whatever. And then, ended up going outside, checked on the young lady, and her response was, yo, I'm good. So then I'm in a catch-22 because I've just defended this woman's integrity, but she didn't defend it herself. Now, I can't blame her because it could be Stockholm. It could be, she has aligned with her oppressor. Therefore, his oppressive behavior has been normalized to her. So she no longer sees anything wrong. But either way, now in terms of it being 2 versus 1 against him and his oppressive behavior, it's 2 against 1 against my good Samaritan ass. Right? So now to the guy, he has a battery in his back because now he feels as though I've impeded whatever situation he got going on with no just cause because his lady finds it appropriate. That type of conflict is what can deter men from holding all men accountable because there's a safety aspect to it. Men die because of this. Men die trying to protect other women, and we see it. How many times a nigga got fucked up trying to be Captain Save him, right? You outside the club, nah, bro, she said she good. Before he can even get that out, my man jumped. My man's washed. And could you blame that man for the next period of time, vowing that he'll never put himself in that type of situation again, regardless of what he sees? No, sometimes you get burned. But I still feel like the consistency is important, bro. Like, because because you lost in that scenario, the next scenario you could have saved a life.
And that's tough for me. And I have that thing. Cause like when things happen on social media and they're like, no black men don't protect women, or why didn't a man do anything? I was always taught like, you mind your business. Like from my parents, you mind your business. That's not your business. And that was more so because there are people who get beat up or murdered minding other people's business. So that's why I kind of asked that question, because the only way I'm going to defend somebody is if I know them. And then if I don't know them, something inside of me would have to tell me, go. If if I don't get that little voice to go, I'm probably not gonna step in. Not saying that I won't call the cops or I won't stick around and make sure, but I got to get home too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I guess
that's a fact. And you know,
go ahead. Go ahead, Reek.
No.
No, all I was going to say is that I definitely can identify and understand that, because there's always going to be a scenario where we all have to, you know, make the choice about, do I interject or do I keep it moving, because me saying something could be me risking my life. And that's an unfortunate reality. But I do think that it's important that we're having conversations such as these are kind of a way to help combat that without having to be in the moment, where you have an important choice to make. And then the only thing else I wanted to say too, before we kind of start to wind things down, is to your point about that like hostile behavior and normalizing like rape culture. So like the conversation about like when people are like, hey, I think it was Rhome that might have said it, but somebody was like, you know, you trying to cat call, and then somebody's like, oh, you a bitch. The first time that happened to me, I was 13. So I'm 13 years old. I'm getting off the bus. I'm on my way. I'm walking home, and somebody's like, Miss, hey yo, Miss. But I'm on Hollis and I'm on Hollis and Francis Lewis Boulevard. So I don't know that you're talking to me because I'm on this busy ass intersection in Queens, and not until I realized, until he was like, yo, fuck you, bitch, and he threw a bottle and it landed in my feet. Oh. And that's when I realized, like, oh, he was talking to me, and talking about like how that, like, you know, causes a shift that triggers you, whatever. So ever since then, anytime I've ever been in public and when the occasion arose where somebody was trying to catcall me or talk to me or anything like that, especially when I'm by myself, I was just always taught and have learned to be like, be pleasant, be like, thank you, I really appreciate it, but no, I'm good, thanks, love, and then like keep it going. Like that's how I was brought up, to be like, you know, don't be overtly nasty, don't be bitchy, even if they're necessarily kind of pressing you, whatever. Just try to like keep it moving and say thank you and keep going, because it could, you know, cost you, you know, you get cursed out, you can get people put their hands on you, and or, you know, ultimately it could cost you your life. And
that's crazy to think that you have to teach your
survival tactics.
Yeah.
And you know, to say that happened, and I was 13 years old. And I can guarantee, I can see his face right now, and I can guarantee you he was not 13 years old.
Right. And that sucks. And that's where, you know, a lot of times, like, I think when all of this stuff happened last week, I think it was last week, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I said something about making sure that we strap our daughters with the tools to move in this world, because we can't stop everything. Right? Like in all reality and in all realism, we can't stop everything. So it's important to make sure that, yes, we teach our sons, yes, we teach our boys and stuff not to carry on this behavior. And hopefully one day it will stop. But there are bad people out there. So we have to make sure that we are teaching our daughters, you know, how to move accordingly in this world.
But more importantly, we got to teach our sons not to continue
absolutely
what's been taught in the past. Because y'all said it earlier, it's definitely learned behavior. The OGs taught whoever, and you know, but even that, right? Like the OGs, if you see a young man out there, nah, bro, you can't be over here. Like you shouldn't even be with the OGs. You should be with kids doing what kids do. But a lot of times, you know, the OGs, that's all they got, right? So they the OGs, and they got the young niggas who's
looking up
following. Yeah, so that's how their history continue. But if the real OG's like not even an OG for real, like he ain't got nothing. He's trash. But we looked up to him because he was older.
Everybody in an OG. Some of them just old.
That's a fact.
That's a good point.
There's a lot of old niggas out here competing with the young ones. Like
That's a fact.
With these young kids, man, like you should be teaching them instead of trying to compete.
No, we have to teach them, but we also have to teach our young men that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be a nerd, quote unquote. It's okay to just be regular. You don't have to follow the trends. You don't have to be sexually active because that's what society has said. Like, allow kids to be fucking kids. And that's the biggest problem. A lot of times we're trying to raise these kids faster than what they are, or we're showing them things that's causing them to grow faster.
You know what? I gotta disagree. Only from this thing. I grew up as an only child in a single parent household, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I think was going on, I'm just gonna talk about specifically in our community, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of you're teaching yourself what you're seeing on the go. So what'll happen is, all right, I'm out, I'm doing my thing, I don't got no curfew. Let me just see what's going on with the environment around me, and I'll incorporate that into my behavior. So I'm not a parent, so I can't speak on what you initially just said about raising our kids to be older than what they are. But what I will say is you do become what you're around. And a lot of times what will happen, specifically with women, is you'll see like, all right, what's going on over here? Like, all right, every time she says something he don't like, he slaps her. Okay, cool. All right, what's going on over here? All right, they in the crib, whatever, and he got women coming out the crib all day and night. And if they not with it, he just kicks them out. All right, cool. All right, yo, young bud, let me tell you something, man. If you ever go to a girl's house and you don't got a bottle of liquor, you're wasting time. These are things that are told to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about what's going on as far as the parenting is concerned, and it's more about what's being normalized when you go outside. Because let's all be honest. I know we're all at the age to where we're the parents and we're not the children no more, but nobody really listens to the parents. A lot of your adopted behavior is adopted behavior from those that are around you because your parents are the last people that you listen to. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that it's going to take for us to have conversations like this so we can be the people that are now the OGs to now tell everybody that it's not all good to do this. You know what I mean? But I just believe because something triggered me when I was on Twitter not too long ago. And all the girls were saying, like, when the accusations started to come in a machine gun type of way, like, yo, if you're not speaking up, you're part of the problem. All the niggas that was being boisterous before, you're not saying nothing now. Yo, if you're not saying nothing, you're pussy. Yo, if you're not with us, you're against us. This is why black men don't protect black women now. And I just believe that critical thinking has been lost the same way cursive has been lost. You know, it's like nobody writes in cursive no more.
Yep, we talked about that earlier.
I'm a teacher, so you know.
Like cursive and critical thinking is out the fucking window, son. Because to sit here and to be like, all right, as opposed to watching people, everybody's on Twitter, everybody's on IG, as opposed to giving people an opportunity to be receptive to the information, see what unfolds, and before they jump out the window, let's just see what's going on here. Everybody just needs to come and attack at once. Same thing with, I know like Dave Chappelle did like a whole stand-up routine about it, but the whole Jussie Smollett situation, I remember this like it was yesterday. I went to So Shameless. I was on a podcast, whatever. And everybody was like, yo, this is crazy how gay black men don't have the support of their own people. Everybody's against everybody. Everybody just finding ways just to be against when somebody's coming up with something. It's actually a shared community. There's something tragic can happen to one of us. And the first thing we do is try to second guess it or try to figure things out. Come to find out we was right. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that there's a type of person that jumps out the window and there's a type of person likes to seal the information before they jump out the window. But the whole like bully mentality of if you don't do what I want you to do, then that means you're against me is also counterproductive. And we got to get that type of talk out the paint too.
Thank you for that point. So I do have like, I guess, two questions that we can kind of round up this conversation and, you know, can't put a nice pretty bow on it because we talked about a bunch, but we still haven't even scratched the surface to an extent. When we think about this accountability talk, right? Ultimately, what are men responsible for holding other men accountable for their behavior? And do you think that this, like, what cultures, or I should say, or what areas of life do you feel like it's happening or it's not happening in? Because
what do you mean by that?
meaning like there's certain, so we're talking about like people in the event culture, right? Is this an area where people are you think there's gonna really be these voices coming out of the woodwork speaking out against it that belong to men, or do we think that it's gonna just kind of get swept under the rug? So to kind of to bring it back, my first point is, are men responsible for holding other men accountable?
Yes.
And do you guys think that that's happening in the spheres or the worlds that we're moving between right now?
No.
Yo, like
You can look at the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the timeline. The timeline is really truly it's a small, but it's a very, very potent reflection of the times that we live in. And you can see a split, a huge divide between how men think. Of course, each person is individually them, but at the same time, you can see consistency kind of come into play as well. You saw a lot of men. I had the opportunity to watch the accusers when they spoke live on Instagram, and the men
accused,
in the comments
the
was
accused
just
or the accusers.
Both. I saw both, but I'm speaking directly about the accusers. But watching the men in that conversation was crazy. Like, basically caping for a man that they didn't even know. They don't know this man from a can of paint.
Mm-hmm.
All they know is that he's a black man, and he was accused of X, Y, and Z. And they literally broke these women down. Basically saying like, "Oh, you're lying because you're ugly. You're lying because who told you to go where?" Like, basically shifting blame to the women, right? And I think that it's not happening in the needed areas, because when you look at what people comment on how people comment within our community, whether it be podcasts, whether it be event communities, whether it be Rock Nation brunch communities, like, it's not unilateral. It's not unilateral, bro. There's a lot of people who still don't get it, who still don't understand what consent is, who still don't understand how to administer accountability accordingly. And it's wild, because the wildest shit is that, you hear people talk about due process. We should incorporate due process before we render any type of verdict. But I'm like, bro, this is the same due process that persecutes us erroneously every day. So how are you giving them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the subjugation of a black woman, but then vilifying them when it comes to the persecution of a black man? In that point, I'm like, wow, we are not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, men definitely need to hold other men accountable. I think that's definitely the most important thing to take from this conversation. Are they holding each other accountable? I don't think so, which is the sad part. And I really think people are more worried about people are more worried about trying to be cool and trying to fit in, rather than doing the right thing, doing what we deem should be the right thing. And to piggyback on Cosi's point about due process, it was enough evidence there for me to know that he's nasty enough to do the things that he might be accused of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again,
it's not like where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, like, again, you leaving a chick that's not even from NYC, just moved there for a little while, on the corner of Myrtle at 3 a.m. because she didn't want to give you no cheeks, bro. Like, you corny for that. Like, you forget all of the other stuff. Like, yeah, that's important, but more importantly, like, to me, if you was my man and I heard you did that, you corny for that. and we gonna clown you all day until you never do nothing like that again, or you never want to hang out with us again. Like, I'm not moving like that. Even there's been situations where I've been mad at women and I didn't want to have them in my car or in my crib. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna order you an Uber. I'm gonna put you in a cab. Like, I just don't want you here right now. But
yeah,
I've never been that type to like, oh, she ain't want to give me nothing, so now I'm gonna kick her out and leave her on the call. Like, yo, that's corny, bro. Like, chicks are allowed to say no.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with this whole accountable thing, what's happening right now is everything is getting left to interpretation, because you won't hold somebody accountable for something that you don't think is a big deal. And to be quite frank with you, mistreating women really wasn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things until like a few years ago, because mistreating women seemingly was common practice. So if you saw somebody wilding, like, you just thought that was the game. You know what I'm saying? Until you were enlightened that although there's a certain level of normalcy that comes with this, just because it's normal doesn't mean it's right. You know what I mean?
Say that last part again.
Say what?
Your joint, like it lagged.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I was saying. Matter of fact, let's just go to what I was about to say, because this is like way more important. Saying like we need to hold people accountable, right? Nobody actually knows what that means, because the way that I might hold TJ accountable won't be the way that TJ holds Rhome accountable, because I'm a different person than what TJ is. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
So another thing that comes along with that is there's just so much nuance to situations. There are just certain things that just needs to be said out loud that's just unacceptable all across the board. Disrespecting people that don't deserve to be disrespected should be dead wrong. That's not being a player. That's not being cool. That's not being a bad boy. That's not being a wild boy. That shit is not right. But when you don't see it as a big deal, nobody's ever going to say anything. Because I believe there's something that's going on in society. I want to say the past 5 years. There's this utopic society that everybody thinks we live in, and then there's the real world. In the real world, people are mean. You know what I'm saying? People say mean shit. People do sexual shit that's out of line. Right. It's up to us to identify it and then move forward. But to vilify people that used to act a certain way because everybody else around them acted a certain way, but because they wasn't the chosen one as far as intellect is concerned, that shit is whack. Now,
I agree with that. I feel like there has to be a period of allowing people to change.
Exactly.
If you're gonna say hold people accountable, I can't expect someone who's been doing this for 20 years to all of a sudden not do it anymore. Like it would be respectable if we give them that opportunity to change. I'm not saying that this person's a rapist and, but if he had like methods that he was using that was taught, and now we're saying like, nah, that's not a good method at all. Like everything you've been doing is wrong and they're learning from it. I do think you should give them that opportunity. And I do think sometimes we're so quick to like bash people, like go at them, that's why a lot of people, they either keep it to themselves or they're not going to ask the questions because they don't want to be looked at as crazy.
Fair point. So at this point, we are going to just bring it all together and start to shut things down and wrap up this conversation. So I just wanted to open the floor one more time for any final thoughts on anything that we've discussed tonight, or maybe something that we haven't even touched on. So if you have any final thoughts, whatever they might be, this is now the time. So what I'll do is I'll be like a teacher at a Socratic seminar. I'm going to call your name. And then if you have anything that you'd like to add, please.
Well, I'm going to go first.
That's not how that works, but go ahead. I'm
going to go first. So, and then we can let our guests finish it. Then you can pick on them.
Whatever.
I think it was a great conversation. Shout out to Tasha again for posting it. It definitely had my creative juices going. Shout out to Dani for being on board. Shout out to you. as men, we do hold the power to hold each other accountable. Like Reek said, you got to like a different accountability is going to be different. So maybe that should be the conversation. What does the accountability look like? And what's something that's going to be, that can be used regardless. Like this should always be what the least the minimum is. But I definitely think it is up to us to, protect our women and believe our women and be advocates for our women. So.
Thank you, baby. Rhome, do you have any final thoughts?
Respect women. Like I grew up in a house with my mother, my older sister, and I love them like no other. Yeah, we've been taught. I grew up in the hood where I was taught two things: get pussy and get paid. Like, and as I've grown older, I've become more aware that like treating women bad, it doesn't do anything for you. Like, I always feel better when I got, a good woman by my side helping me, through life and treating her the right way. So.
Thank you. Reek.
Yo.
Any final thoughts?
All in all. I just think things at a micro level and not at a macro level. Because what always seems to happen is something goes on. I mean, you fill in the blank. And then you'll have your side and I'll have my side. But when you see the people that try to seek the information, if you don't know the information already, then you're the problem. And I believe that's some of the wackest shit that I think we do in the culture, where we feel like we're above explaining ourselves, but want everybody to be on the same page. And something else that I really don't like that we do is we're quick to like indemnify people without actually hearing them out. So if you don't adopt my way of thinking, or if you don't adopt the way I view things, then you're just a fucking dummy. You need to get the fuck out of here too. And everybody feels like they're above actually speaking things out for dialogue purposes, because we're not going to get nowhere without dialogue. But the people that are like, yo, if you don't at least know that, then you don't need to be here. Do you want to punish people because they don't know things, or do you want to see change? That's the thing that nobody actually says out loud because everybody's scared.
I agree with you.
If people want change, then do things for a change. Don't be mad because things haven't changed already. That's like the corniest shit in the world. So, word.
Thank you. And Cosi, you want to close it on out?
Cosi might have went to go potty. And this nigga said flat earlier. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm going to say this.
Yeah, I was like, he grew up in London? I was like,
yeah. Nigga said, yo, take it to the flat. I'm like, this nigga's James Bond?
Oh my God.
Nah, but yeah, you definitely touched on that correctly, Reek. Having the conversation. Like I said, I had the conversation with a young lady just about rape culture, and she educated me to, different ways to approach women.
What we should also respect is that if a woman does not want to have that conversation, or she feels like she doesn't need to give you that conversation, don't get upset at her.
Agree.
Because sometimes that would happen, right? You may ask a question and she'll say, I'm not teaching you, or I'm not helping you, or whatever. And we may be like, all right, fuck you then. As opposed to, you know what? She doesn't want to talk about that because maybe it's a touchy subject or whatever the case may be. So
yeah, you definitely respect somebody's feelings in that, but she can't expect you to have the knowledge or the understanding of how she feels. Like, how can you comprehend how somebody feels if they don't tell you?
That's fair.
There's no way to know.
Yeah. But if you ask her and she doesn't want to tell you, maybe you ask another girl who's a friend who may give you that information, and then you can go back to her and say, hey, I spoke with so-and-so. They gave me this. Are you feeling this?
Right.
Because sometimes that helps as well.
Right.
And Cosi's back.
Trying to help too.
I even know if y'all peeped that. I got.
Oh, we did. We had a nice little joke and everything.
I was like, yo, good night.
Final thoughts, Cosi. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Once again, thank you to everyone for organizing this conversation. One of many conversations that need to be happening across various platforms. So we need to see numerous combinations of different people, not the same people. I think that accountability is present for both sides. I think that as men, it's on us to educate ourselves, because we can't educate the next generation without one educating ourselves. And now we also have to bring women along on that journey. Rhome has alluded to several times speaking to women, and through those conversations, he's left with a better understanding of the perspective of said women, and whether it be women in his life or what have you. And I believe that working hand in hand with our women will allow us to navigate this crazy world a little bit better, because essentially we all we got, and we're in a very, very tumultuous place right now where women don't feel safe around black men. Black women don't feel safe around black men. And instead of us internalizing that feeling, letting our ego get involved and being defensive, we have to not take it like it's a personal shot against us. So when you see that on the timeline, like how Reek was talking about how, black men don't protect black women, I can understand as a black man how that can make me uncomfortable hearing that, because you feel like you're automatically being lumped in to part of the problem. But you got to also remove yourself and say, like, listen, it's also about self-awareness, right? I'm aware of how I live my life. But at the same time, instead of me looking internally at who I am, I have to look at externally who I'm around. What am I doing? And how am I an asset to the growth, or am I a liability to the growth? And I think a lot of us, while we're internally on the right path, externally, we could be doing a little bit more. I think that we could be a little bit more conscious about, those cues and being able to just check in with women. And you may not be able to make every single woman in the world feel safe, but women women talk, women discuss, women also circle back and they'll say, like, thank you for queuing in. Thank you for seeing that. And even if a woman's like, I would have handled it, but it makes me feel better that, there was a man there that saw that and didn't just see it as normalized behavior. So yeah, I think that across the board, man, like, it's just on us. The power is in our hands. The next generation is still moldable, still shapeable. They're still young enough to be passed along on the right direction, and we just gotta push them, man. We just have to really redirect them. But it takes communication, and I think that while it's the responsibility of men to educate themselves, I think it's also on. And I know we had talked about expecting more of the oppressor, right? I mean, the oppressed. But I think that at some point, women, once they feel comfortable enough and once they feel like that person is truly an asset to their cause or to their safety or agent of their protection, then I feel like women bringing us along their journey as well and talking to us about what they're going through, not from a finger pointing angle, but from a here's how you can protect me angle. And I think that once we're able to have those conversations and both parties not feel like I need to figure this out on my own, but then us realizing like there's some miscommunications here, there's learned behavior here, let's build and destroy, let's destroy and rebuild this. But it takes both parties coming to the table. So it's hard to do that while you have men on one hand, like, we're sick and tired of being told that we ain't shit. And then you got black women on one side saying like, well, this is why we don't need you for shit. Like, both parties kind of got to put the swords down, but it needs to come from us first as men, because we've been given the larger end of the stick for a long time. So I think once we kind of show our true intentions and carry ourselves accordingly, I think over time we'll see, we could potentially see the narrative shift a little bit. So I appreciate everybody that's taking the time to have this conversation, because it's important. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely important.
No, definitely. And we definitely appreciate y'all making the time and having a conversation with us. So
thank you, Fred, for doing this. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and
wrap this
sucker up. Gentlemen, we can't end the episode without letting everyone know where they can each find you all. So I'm gonna go the other direction now. And Cosi, if you could just let everybody know when and where they can find you.
Yeah, no doubt. This is Comfy Cosi, one half of the Run the Tape podcast, Durag aficionado, catching with the daily Durags every day. It's appreciated. Much love to everybody that's been a part of the movement so far. You can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, at Comfy Cosi as well. And if you want some smoke on PSN, Supreme Cosi, if you want some smoke as well, holla at me.
Thank you. Reek.
Yeah, you can follow me at the OG Black Man on Twitter and the OG Black Man on Instagram. I didn't go to high school or college with you, so don't ask me for my Facebook.
Rhome, what's up?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, The Rebel Rhome, RHOME. Do not forget the H, please.
Mm-hmm. And as always, you know that you can find me and TJ on Twitter at Lovers Quarrel 7.
Yeah.
On Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show. And you can always email us with your thoughts, questions, concerns, and comments at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. Y'all, thank you so much for doing this with us. We really appreciate it. We're glad that everyone's staying safe. And that we're working through this to have these important conversations, because like everyone has said, if we're not at least talking about it, how can we even ever begin to change the narrative? So with that being said, this has been yet another episode of Lovers Quarrel. And as always, I am your girl, Dani.
And I'm your guy, TJ.
And you know that we fuss.
We fight, but we love. Bye.
Peace, y'all.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Episode will be out in the morning, so.
Thank y'all so
appreciate y'all.
Y'all the best, man. Y'all have a good one.
Cosi, did you get that bug?
Yo, y'all see that shit? This nigga was like, there was a spider crawling. Like, I peeped this shit, and I'm like, yo, I got an answer soon. I'm like, but then by the time I got, the shit was like on the ceiling and shit. I'm like,
we saw you threw Rhome's answer all the way on.
Oh shit! Y'all see me jump?
Yeah.
Because the shit jumped up this. I was like, yo.
Yeah, we seen your 2-inch vertical, man.
All right, y'all.
All right. Good night, guys.
Peace.
Good night.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey friend, it's time for you to ditch those workout gloves and get the grip and wrist support you deserve. What do you suggest? You need to get the Gains Load and Lock grips by Gains Sports Gear. They are more durable than gloves, have a non-slip grip pad that provides grip support and added wrist support unlike your traditional workout gloves, and will protect your hands from calluses. Do they come in different colors? Not only do they come in different colors, but they are available for men and women. Do yourself a favor, go to gainsportsgear.com. And remember, a better grip equals a better lift. Embrace the process.